Hey y'all, it is Krista from Saving Grace Homestead, and it has been way too long since we've had a chat. I think it's actually been over a year. I have not done much posting or anything because life has been lifing, and I've just not had the time or the capacity to post or edit or any of the things. So I know some of you have wondered what's happening with us, what's happening with our animals. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Now's a great time because I'm going to catch you up on the last year. If you have been with us and forgot about us, you've been following us and you're like, wow, I haven't seen you forever, I totally forgot you existed. Totally cool. I'm just going to catch everybody up. It's going to take more than one video, so we're just going to do a little catch up series. Okay. I actually posted, I don't know if you remember, last spring, our goats, both of our female goats had babies. And I posted a little bit about that, and then things got crazy with the goats and everything else. So we were just keeping our head above water, and I didn't have time to post about it. So I did actually make a video kind of updating on one of the goats, and I just never got to post it. So we're going to just kind of rewind back to about last spring, early summer. And so we're just going to go back in time a little bit, and we'll just kind of do an update series. So anything that you see, it's not happening right now, it's happening then. Things have changed on our homestead, and things are going to change on our homestead. So let's catch up, shall we? What? What, buddy? Hey y'all, it is Krista with Saving Grace Homestead, and I am back. I left y'all hanging, but it was unintentional. So I thought I finally have a moment, so I'm gonna catch y'all up. And I don't know, this might need to be a two-parter because there's been a lot. It's been a lot in the last 2 weeks, and I have a lot to catch you up on. So if you follow over on YouTube, then last you knew, Primrose was pregnant. We were waiting on her to give birth. And if you follow over on Instagram and Facebook, then you got the update. You've already seen the kids. You know what's going on there. But there's a lot of other things that happened that just didn't make it on any of the platforms because we were just trying to keep our head above water. So I'm just going to roll back to 2 weeks ago and let's just catch up together. Okay? All right, so 2 weeks ago, I had to take my husband to an appointment. It was about an hour away, and it was an appointment we could not reschedule. And that morning, of course, because as all of our animals do, they pick the best time to have their babies, the most inconvenient times every time. And so that morning, Primrose had her babies, and Nubians typically have one kid. It's certainly not unheard of for them to have two, but other breeds, that's definitely more common. Nubians, it's not as common. Normally they just have one. And so when we came in and found that Primrose had twins, we were like, oh my goodness. So twin little bucklings, little boys, and brown and white, super cute. Here's what they look like. So you'll have to pardon my hair, y'all, that we have a storm coming in later tonight, and the winds are picking up. So anyway, they're adorable, but things went south very quickly. Typically, if one of my goats has a baby, then I am right there. I'm making sure that the babies are latching. I'm making sure mom is letting them latch and that she's nurturing them. And that she's doing well, that they're doing well, and all the things. However, I could not be a hover parent because I was gone all day. We came back late afternoon, early evening, and I went straight out there to see how they were doing. Primrose seemed really tired, lethargic. She didn't really want to get up. I thought, well, on the one hand, she's a new mom, and she not only it's her first time having kids, but she had twins her first time. So it's a lot. And, hopefully she's just tired and kind of gets over it by tomorrow, but that's not super typical for a goat to act like that. And we had one little buckling who also was acting very lethargic, and I tried to get him to latch onto Mama, and he kind of acted like he wanted to, and then gave zero effort. So I thought, okay, we may have an issue. I ended up bringing him in a little bit later that evening, and I sat and force fed him colostrum replacement, which fortunately I had on hand, and it took me 8 hours to get 8 ounces down him, and I sat on the floor in the RV with him for that time, force feeding him little by little until he had enough in him that he had some energy and could maintain his body temperature, because that colostrum helps them to do that in the very beginning. So at 3 a.m. I walked him back out to the barn, put him with Mama, and he seemed to be doing well. She still seemed really lethargic. She would stand for the babies to nurse, but she was super lethargic. She didn't want to eat anything, just not typical. I also noticed at this point the one side of her udder was much larger than the other, and so I thought, well, I will go ahead and milk her out on that side, and then if I have to help feed any of these babies later, then at least I can use Mama's colostrum, because Mama's colostrum is much better than what you can buy in a bag at the farm store. So I went to milk her out and noticed that what was coming out was pink in color, which means there's blood in it. So instantly I was like, well, we have mastitis. Right off the bat, she's got mastitis. And so we would find out over the coming days. And of course, these things always happen right before a weekend or right on a weekend, so you can't get a hold of the vet or anything else. So we were on our own until Monday, when we could reach out to somebody. Over the weekend, let's see, that was 3 a.m. Saturday that I took the little buckling back out there and noticed the udder situation. Y'all are fine. Her little boys are baaing at me. One of them is a big mouth. So we noticed the other udder and all that. So Saturday, we did what we could for her. We tried to soak her teat in that portion of her udder. I literally took out a bowl of warm Epsom salt water with some lavender in it and just stuck it up under her. Tried to soak it. Tried to give her some herbs, different things, and nothing seemed to be really helping her. So Saturday afternoon, I called a friend of ours that raises dairy cattle. And this is a good lesson for anybody who's thinking about getting into homesteading or thinks, oh, I want to live that self-sufficient lifestyle. Community sufficiency is far superior. Do not fall into that trap of believing that you have to know it all, do it all, be super self-sufficient. It is good to have skills. It is good to be able to take care of yourself, but community sufficiency is going to take you a lot farther. So we called some friends of ours that have a small farm and they raise dairy cattle, and I said, hey, do you have any of the antibiotic that can go straight into the udder? And he said, yeah, I do. I said, great. I've never used it before. I don't know what I'm doing. Can you come do it for me? Because I'm feeling overwhelmed at the moment. And he said, yes, I will come down there. And so he brought me some of that, and he brought me some stuff to rub on the udder that they've had really great success with, and helped administer that. Left me some for the following day for Sunday morning, and so my husband and I went out and did that again on Sunday morning, and we had to completely remove the babies on Saturday from her because we didn't want them to try to nurse out the antibiotic that we put in. And so we brought them in, and they started having messy poops, and then we started noticing like little scabs on their nose and their mouth, and I was like, what is going on? What is going on? In the 3 years that we've had goats, I can count on one hand like the amount of times I've had to treat anything, and it's never been anything major. I think the biggest thing was when Primrose got bloat, and so, but she pulled through that just fine. And these three, this Primrose and her two babies, have had so much in the last 2 weeks that we've had to treat. Never since having goats have we had this much issue, and it's been a lot all at once. So babies I thought might have had coccidiosis. I know that's a really big thing for baby goats and sheep and things like that. And so I started treating them for that. And so now we have 2 baby goats in the RV, which is fun. And I was wiping goat butts and feeding around the clock and trying to keep them in a contained space. Meanwhile, not really having as much time to care for Primrose like I normally would, knowing that she had stuff going on because I was just literally around the clock with these 2 bucklings. So my oldest child was helping me. My youngest 2 were trying to do their best to just stay out of the way. It was a whole catastrophe and an adventure that I wasn't quite prepared for. That's all I can say about that. But after treating Primrose Saturday and Sunday, she continued to show no improvement. So Sunday night, my daughter and I kind of took turns, and we just every hour on the hour gave her an herb blend that was to help boost the immune system, and it also gets rid of parasites and things like that, but it's just overall good for immune system and everything. So we were giving her that mixed with vitamin B and some red cell and a little bit of colloidal silver, knowing that it was mastitis, we needed some antibiotic help, a little bit of oregano oil, just all the things. I threw the kitchen sink at it, and every hour on the hour we were drenching her with this concoction. And she did perk up. She did start to eat. She was acting a little bit more alert. Now she never had a fever. She never had a high temperature or anything. So that was good. That was a good sign. But she just continued to worsen. By this point, her teat and the lower portion of her udder, not only were we not able to milk her out, and it just kept turning to the point where it was just straight blood coming out. There was nothing that resembled milk coming out, and we couldn't really get much of anything to come out. So I thought, we are losing this battle. I was given the number for a livestock veterinarian. And if you know anybody who is interested in becoming a veterinarian, maybe they're in school or they're just looking for kind of what type of veterinary medicine they want to go into, I can tell you that rural areas need veterinarians bad, and even more than the dog and cat veterinarians, which are also needed. Livestock vets are very much needed. And I knew a vet, just if you're afraid of like large animals, I knew a vet that said, hey, my rule is I will come out to your farm, I will do all these things, but my rule is that I will not see animals that weigh more than I do. And I was like, well, that's fair. So that was her rule. You can make your own rules, but livestock vets are so needed. There are communities that have no assistance for their farm animals at all. And you get emergencies. You have birth emergencies. You have all these things that happen with livestock, and they're an investment. So it's very, very much needed. But anyway, that was a little tangent. So I was given the name and number of a livestock vet, and I called and left a message on Monday and did not hear back. And then Tuesday, I texted the number and I did not hear back. Wednesday, by this point, her teat and her lower portion of her udder are turning more black in color. She's not improving at all. And I thought, at this point, the way that she's acting, she's in pain, we're getting just straight blood out of this thing. She's just going downhill, and she's going downhill rapidly. So when I messaged the vet on Wednesday, I said, listen, I think at this point you're probably just gonna have to put her down. Is that something that you can help with? Because I really don't want to be in a position to try to have to put her down the old-fashioned farmer way. Okay, that's just, at this moment, I cannot bring myself to do that. So will you please, if not, will you please give me the name and number of another vet if you know of one? So he finally reached back out to me and said, I can try to fit you in between runs today. I said, that'd be great. So he did end up coming out Wednesday afternoon, took a look at her and said, this type of mastitis is not one that you can fix by doing the antibiotic up into the teat and the udder. This is one you're going to have to treat internally, and you're going to have to give her injections, twice a day for several days. And the babies likely have some bacteria that they got through their umbilical cord, or maybe even nursing off of her. And so they've just got an internal bacteria situation. I don't think it's coccidiosis. So you're going to have to give them the injections also. Now, I've never given an injection in my life. I've never desired to give any injections. We don't do any on our on our homestead. We try to keep everything very holistic. So he showed me how to do these vaccinations for her, or her, not vaccinations, but a penicillin injection for her. And that was fun. At one point, I called my cousin who lives out of state, who's a veterinary technician. She's been a veterinary technician since we were in high school. And I called her at like 11:30 at night from the barn, and I was like, help, just help, because I can't get this needle to go into the skin of this little buckling, and this one needs it the most. He has the messiest poops. So yeah, by this point we had moved. Once we got Primrose started on her injections, we took the bucklings back out. We didn't put them in the stall with her because we wanted to give her time to just heal, and we didn't want them trying to nurse off of her or anything. So we kind of did this little makeshift stall area for them, knowing that Maggie, our other female goat, would be giving birth sometime soon. So we couldn't crowd her stall. And not only that, but they've got whatever bacteria, and I mentioned that they had like scabs on their nose and mouth. That's something called ORF, or sore mouth, and it's a virus. And I'm like, how did you even get that? Nobody else has that. So what is wrong with you two? So I'm treating a bacteria internally, and we are just trying to not touch the ORF situation. So we are gloving up, we are washing our hands way too many times a day. Our hands are dry and cracking. It was awful. And they are still kind of recovering from that. but an ORF is a zoonotic virus, which means it can be transferred to humans, and my daughter and I really did not want that. So we have been germophobic, gloving up all the things, changing out. We have our barn clothes, then we come in and we change into totally different clothes so that nothing is touching anything. So that has been fun. So the little bucklings are back in the barn. Primrose is doing well. She is back out on pasture. She's back to loving life. The one side of her udder is still large. And the doctor said, the veterinarian said, what will likely happen is that teat will literally like dry up and fall off. All the part that was discolored. And I was like, oh, interesting. So Primrose is out of commission. She will not be having any more babies. She gave us no milk at all. None. We will not be able to milk her, so she is going to be a pet goat. I'm not sure if she's going to stay our pet goat or if she's going to become somebody else's pet goat, but she is going to be a pet goat. We then kept our eye on Maggie, and her udder started to get bigger, and we've tried to keep her separate. We wanted to make sure that she was super healthy and that nothing was going to be transferred to her baby. And so this week, again, we had an appointment. We had an appointment over in Nashville, so we drove over there, and that's when Maggie decided she was going to give birth.